Welcome to Conversations with Toy, a blogcast tackling life one episode at a time. This is the time to air out life's craziest moments. This space is all about speaking about life's hang-ups and ways in which we can leave better than when we started. Topics are all about ways we can find space to be better in life, love, mental space, and health.
Happy Friday. I hope that you have had the most amazing week. And I know if you are anything like me, I know that you probably had a very tiring week. Why? Because I don't know. It seems like we're always super tired. There's always 1,001 things to do. But nonetheless, we are here and we are here to celebrate yet another Friday. If this is your first time tuning into Conversations with Toy, welcome. I hope that you understand that you are not here by mistake. If you stumbled upon this episode, there's something for you. And for that, I say welcome. And I hope that you find value in this episode or any of the other episodes, because we have 10 seasons. There's something for everyone. Whether I talk about self-care, mental health, and wellness, which is always going to be talked about on every episode, whether I'm talking about how to matriculate yourself with your job, how to be more of a friend to a friend, how to love yourself more. We're talking about marriage or dating, parenting, all the things. So welcome. And again, thank you for being here. There are 3 things that you can do. One, you're already doing. You're listening to this episode. The second thing you can do is to share this with another person. And lastly, whatever platform that you are on, go ahead and give us a review. Let us know of the things that you like, the things that you would like to have changed. All of those things. I take your reviews very seriously. I read them. Sometimes I even share them. And again, it's all because growth is so necessary in life, and nothing that you do that you don't need growth. We need growth in all areas. So thank you for tuning in. On this particular podcast episode, we are going to be talking about, of course, mental health and wellness, self-care. We're also going to be talking about the big news of the week, which is Donald Trump becoming a 34-time felon. And we're also going to be talking about the Biden administration as they were here in Philadelphia, and I had the opportunity to create content. That was an experience. So we're going to talk about that as well. And we're going to get you ready because summertime is going to be knocking at the door, and specifically for the parents. That is parents, for those who don't understand. And simply, how do we get these children ready for the summer? How do we get our own minds ready for the summer? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and step into the episode. So this week I had another therapy session, and I talked about last week about, when you feel the desire to want to fire your therapist. Let me be very clear. No, I'm not talking about firing my personal therapist, but I am talking about the intensity sometimes that therapy can bring. Oftentimes when you see therapists on TV, they look fluffy. You usually see someone laying on the couch and telling of their stories. It turns into a comedy moment, and that person gets up and it's either something that's not resolved and it's like a funny moment. Again, therapy does not have to be this gloom and doom. It doesn't always have to be that, but let's also be real. I think sometimes we forget that therapy, it can be work. Now, here's where the work comes in. You're telling your therapist for whatever reason that you're there, you're talking about things week to week. And in the midst of these conversations, you are hitting on some very high emotional, moments. And sometimes when you leave therapy, you can be very much drained, almost tired, exhausted. You could be emotionally detached. Like, there's a lot of different emotions that can come about. Now, this particular therapy session for this week, I didn't feel detached. I didn't feel emotional drained. I did feel challenged because that is the job of my therapist. And that's why I talked about firing the therapist, not because, again, I'm going to fire my actual therapist, but because that people have that feeling. Sometimes I feel like we forget people who have never been on this journey and they step into it. They think that they are alone in their feelings. Like, it can only be me. Maybe I'm not giving it enough time. I'm not trying hard enough. And I want you to know that, yes, you are trying hard enough, but therapy will challenge you. And if you have the ideology that when you go into a therapist room or when you talk to your therapist, that it will be peaches and cream, you are going to be setting yourself up for a major fall, because no matter how insignificant or significant your situation is, trust and believe that you most definitely, and I do mean most definitely, will have a situation where you are challenged. And sometimes those challenges, just like with any other challenge in life, there are times when you can get through things a little easier than some, and then there are times when you can't. And so I don't want you to go into therapy thinking that, it's going to be like this big joyful thing. You're going to talk about these things and you're just going to feel good. I'm not telling you that you won't experience that, but what I am telling you is that if you do go into your therapy session and you feel like this therapist has almost beat you up because they're hitting you with very hard questions that you're struggling to answer, they are bringing up things that you've missed. They could be also bringing up things that you have always felt and you were missed by other people, which caused you to come to therapy. And then therefore the work begins. So I'm just encouraging you to stick it out. I'm encouraging you to know that those are going to be days that you will experience. And if I'm not honest with you, again, I would be, in my opinion, amiss, because for those who have never gone and you're starting the journey, you would then feel the desire to then leave the journey. And that's not something that I want. And it's not something that you want, right? And I talked about this briefly last week, what are some of the reasons to quit a therapist? If your therapist is being disrespectful, it's not disrespectful to challenge you and to make you think something or differently, and to not necessarily make you think differently, but to cause you to think differently, for you to pause your thoughts, to want to say, okay, you know what, this goes against everything that I've always learned, or everything I've always known. Just because you've always known it doesn't make it always right. And so if you feel disrespected by your therapist, if your therapist is cutting you off, making things about themselves, and they're not giving you value, then you should consider having that conversation with your therapist. And then if that doesn't work, then you should decide to part ways, but not part ways just because, again, if you think that they're supposed to agree with you, that's not it. Therapy is not a place where you just unleash these things and then that's it. Like, you do have to, there's other things to follow up. There's usually homework that you need to do. There's usually some type of steps that you have to take. So just be considerate when you think about your therapy journey, because it's not easy, but I do encourage. I think everyone could benefit from some level of therapy, even if it's not something that's super ongoing, but I do believe everybody could benefit from it. Now, this week was a pretty much, I want to say a semi-heavy media week. For those who do not know, obviously my name is Toy, the podcaster, but I also am a content creator and a blogger. And y'all have been tussling in TikTok about who is an influencer and who is a content creator. And for a lot of the points that were given, I do agree to some extent. Sometimes there's the influencers that can just be like, here's a product, and you go and buy it and you feel so compelled to, because the person just, you love them, or they just have established some type of greatness in your world, or just because, they just did their job and they were able to sell, all these products. But then there are content creators. Content creators make content. It's not necessarily based upon selling. It doesn't mean that they can't do it, because you can do both. But everybody is stuck into this. If I'm a content creator, if I am an influencer, if I am a blogger, whatever the case may be, let me be very clear. You can be all three. You can be all the things, your videographer, you can be all the things that you choose to be. But when it comes to understanding the differences between the 2 or 3 or 4, however many skill sets you have, and hey, the more the merrier, you also need to realize that there comes a level of responsibility. As a content creator, sometimes I have to create content that is not necessarily about me. Even though a lot of times I'm in the content, it's not necessarily about me. If I'm there to preview a restaurant, it should be more focused on the restaurant and less about myself. If it's there and I'm creating content for, I'm at a program and things like that, it's less me. It's more about the why I'm there. Now, not to say that I won't show up in the content, because I have to show up in the content. That just makes it more authentic. I was there, so I need to show that, if that makes sense. But then there's times when, as a content creator, I make content that never even shows up on my page, and that's called UGC. And use user-generated content, which means I'm creating content for another company. And there have been times where people have seen me. So let me be very clear. I've made content for pregnancy apps, and you may have seen me on there. Let me preface, I am not pregnant, and I do not desire to have another child. My child having days are over. I have 3 beautiful children, and the days of me having any more are a wrap, because that's not happening. And so, yeah, you may see me on a dating app. trust and believe I am happily married because I created content for another company. And those are the types of things that I love to do. But my bread and butter, my number one go-to is going to always be blogging. I am a blogger, a writer by heart. And you also may see my content in writing form on different other publications outside of myself. Forgive my voice. I don't know. It could be just this week. There's been a lot of I don't know, I guess alcohol intake this week. I'm always on a 2 alcohol glass or 2 cocktail minimum, but sometimes alcohol can like scratch your throat, in my opinion. So forgive me, I sound a little raspy because that definitely was not the thought process behind it. However, let me just say that again, if you see my content in writing form, you will see my content in writing form of different other platforms. I have written for What to Expect. I have written for She Media. I have been featured on different places. And in addition, I also have been featured on content that, again, I sometimes have access to and sometimes I don't. If you see me on Beautiful Brown Girls, I am on there. I write content for them as well. And they have their own app. And so, yeah, you will see content that I have produced in other places that I can control. And the reason because is when you're a content creator, you really should have a profound portfolio. And I do. And thank God for that, because I can use those skills to interchangeably do other projects, and that makes it become more marketable. So where people are getting caught up in brand deals, which I do believe in brand deals, there are beautiful things. I still do get brand deals, but I also focus my efforts on things behind the scenes, because sometimes those things behind the scenes can pay just as well. So be open to different avenues of creating content, because there is different avenues of creating content. Sometimes we get caught up because we want certain things to be just on us, on our page. But sometimes your content may do better. And I know that for me, like my content does well, but it will do even better on other people's platforms. And I'm here for it. And also because I'm also can get paid to do that. And it's not, it's very lucrative, and I'm okay with that. Right? Because who wouldn't be? Now, this week I had the opportunity to meet the Biden administration as they came here to Philadelphia for the Black voters for Biden. And yes, there are Black voters for Trump. There's everything on both sides. Here's the thing. You don't always have to agree with every candidate on all of their the things that they're saying, the things they're about. You have to agree with the candidate that resonates with you the most. There are some big things happening with both candidacy, and unfortunately, that's going to tie us into our next conversation with Trump. Trump was just announced to have been found guilty on all 34 charges that he was presented against. And so that means he is a 34-time felon. Here is the thing. Most felons, for whatever their reasons are, for whatever their mistakes in life, whatever they have done, a lot of them have lost a lot in life, and they should have. You absolutely should have. If you're a felon, you've done some things you should lose. However, with this newfound capability of the president becoming a felon and running our country, it also means that there should be a lot of reform for those who have suffered so greatly. Because if you can run for the highest office, right, and have a felon for every job that these felons, for other felons have lost, for every housing that they have lost, for every time they were turned away from, all the things, like, I think they need to be restored, because it literally is crazy at this time that we can have one of the greatest felons. And why do I say the greatest felons? Most felony people don't have multiple felonies to the point where they have 34. And God forbid they would have enough to even in a lifetime to have 34. So to have our an ex-president become a felon and still be able to make it into the office to still run the country, that sets the bar so freaking low, in my personal opinion. This has nothing to do with Trump's name being attached to this, because it could have been anyone's name attached to this. My thought process behind that would not have changed. And so here's the thing. I'm a political science major. I studied this in college. So a lot of the times when people are tussling back and forth in the comment sections about who is right and who is wrong when it comes to the presidency, I don't even engage. Here's why. I don't come from the concept of arguing my personal beliefs, because how can that happen? I'm not here to try to win people over, although, I hope that you see the light, right? I hope that you see what's best for yourself. However, I just don't choose to argue with people about politics. And a long time, I wouldn't even talk about politics openly because that causes so much divide. When Trump first went into office or was running for office, so many people had cut off family members and friends who had voted for Trump. I'm just going to be honest with you. I never saw it really the opposite way, but I definitely saw it in the regards to Trump. Now, here's a lot of the reasons why. There are a lot where Trump is just very out there, very open about things. And an abortion is one of those issues, but it's not the only one, right? And so it's like, how does someone, align with Trump when he feels this about Black people? How does people align with Trump when he feels about these ways about women? And so these are things that cause so much divide. There are people who don't talk to other people to this day based upon who you voted for. Here's what I don't understand. I can understand you supporting a candidate, which I have no problems with and have done it myself and will continue to do so myself. But I'm not at the point where, again, I'm going to shun certain people because of their voting. Now, that doesn't mean that I still don't look at folks, or if people don't look at me with the side eye. I'm here for side eyes. Like, side eyes don't break my bills. Side eyes don't stop me from eating. I'm still eating very well. That's why I'm working hard at the gym as it is. But when it comes to starting full-fledged debates that I feel like are only going to just be online, they're not going to produce anything, that's where I stop the line. Because again, I don't argue personal beliefs. You can believe on all the things that you choose to believe, and I don't have to agree. But it's really sad state of where we are right now, because you literally have a 34-time felon that's running for the highest office in the world, for the biggest job in the world, right? And it's like, no, I don't think that felons can't regain their life, but not that I don't think that, because that's 1000% true. There's many of them that do. But I do need you to understand that not having someone run for country to run the country who has been a 34-time felon is something that I don't think I had in my bingo cards for a lifetime. Like, that would never be a choice for me for a lifetime. As a political science major, we know the due diligence of making sure that as you matriculate through the different aspects of government, because a lot of times people come in, they're senators, they are governors, they do different other things before they just decide, hey, I'm going to run for presidency. And I think that a lot of this newest news is going to be causing a lot of conversation. It's going to cause a lot of thoughts. It's going to be interesting to see how this happens and how this unfolds. And so my thought to you and my push to you and my admonition to you is to vote. I hear people saying that they are not going to vote because they don't agree with Biden when it comes to the war. You're not alone. Even though he was here in our city this week, even though I had the opportunity to create content for the administration, it doesn't mean that I 1000% agree with everything that they say and or do. However, I have to consider and weigh out other things when it comes to the lives of myself and the lives of my children. I don't want my kids. We already took a step back by having Roe versus Wade already be taken off the ballots, or not even off the ballot, but just to have women's rights to choose abortion when it's something that they need for themselves. And it's a health concern above anything else. Having that be dashed down is absolutely heartbreaking. And to know that if something happens to my girls and they need to make a decision that's for them, right? Am I telling them to go have an abortion? Like, no person is going to tell you to do that, right? But there are circumstances in which that may be necessary. And of course, I would tell my girls to do everything they can to protect themselves against having the necessary occur. But there are some things that becomes out of people's, options. And it doesn't always have to be rape. There are parents or people, not even just parents, but people who end up having a baby, and the birth of that baby would be more detrimental to them, meaning that they would die if the baby's not placed right in certain things. Like, there are so many complications that can happen. And so I would hate for my children to be in a situation, my daughters or my son and his wife or his girlfriend or whoever he's with, to have a situation happen and it's something that could save their lives, and they don't have the option. So again, I'm not telling you to vote my way. I'm telling you to think about it and think about all the things, because there's not one candidate. Trump is not a candidate, and neither is Biden a candidate that's 100% somebody that I'll be like, I 100% believe in everything that they say and do. I didn't believe that with Obama either. So you have to be able to, again, as a poli-sci major, I'm going to break this down for myself in a way that makes sense to me. And I know the numbers. I know how this will go. I know how when things fluctuate in certain places, how that will trigger something else. So I'm always thinking about it from that perspective, but I'm not fighting with none of you. I'm not fighting with a family member over who you vote for. I'm not fighting with a friend. I'm not fighting with anyone. I just know in the back of my mind, okay, so this is who you're aligning with. This says, a couple things about who you are, and I just keep it moving. I'm not going to put more division amongst us. Now, if you come at me about something, especially like race related, that may be a different conversation, but I'm also going to keep the conversation where it is and not attempt to hit below the belt, which is something that I haven't always done, especially in my 20s. It's just what it is. Like, I think everybody has that growing pain, but I'm here to tell you that yes, I was able to do content with the Biden administration, and it was an amazing experience. First of all, after all those security checkpoints and things that we had to do way prior to just getting to the event, it was amazing to see just how everybody flows together. Secret Service does not, and I do mean and repeat, do not play games. So of course, when I came in, it was just a matter of, okay, let me make sure you understand, hey, I'm here to do what I need to do. And if you tell me I can't go somewhere, I'm not about to start having an attitude. I'm going to always remain professional. I'm going to always be me, and being me is going to be professional when I'm at a professional position. There's no way for you to come to meet President Biden and Kamala Harris and you acting a fool. Like, that's just something that you would think wouldn't happen. So if you ever get the opportunity to even be in the same room with the Biden administration, there are protocols that you must take. And with those protocols, you also got to come in with the mindset that things are going to happen or being said or done that may not fall within alignment with what you want. I just ask that you give somebody some 5 seconds of patience. When I was in the situation of seeing the administration this week, I made sure to remember that same patience, because again, you have clearances that you have to go through before you get there. And so as you're stepping through and going through different things, you have to keep in mind that all of this is to keep the president safe. He has the biggest job in the world. But in addition to that, that comes with a lot of stress. That comes with a lot of disorder. And I just need you to be patient. Be patient in such high situations. So the experience was great because, again, I had never made content for any president, past or present, until then. And it felt really good. It felt honorable for me to even be called into the room. And they gave us so much grace, so much grace, into the point where we had our own, like, it was about 3 of us that were at the riser that we were. So the media was off to the right. We were on the riser to the left of the media, and we had perfect view. And I'm so grateful for that, because again, so many times as a content creator, I'll get invited to stuff and I'll be in the room with other people. And sometimes the content is hard to capture clean because, again, there are other factors in the room. If I am somewhere, even at a restaurant creating content, oftentimes I'll have my big light because, if you're a food blogger or a food content creator, you already know you got to have your light, you got to have this, you got to have that. And so sometimes when I'm in these different spaces, you get the looks of people looking like, well, who she thinks she is. I actually had someone, oh my God, I had somebody come up to me and was like, who do you think you are with these lights on and thinking that you're like somebody? And I love moments like that, because when the gentleman said it to me, I looked at him and I said, well, you came to this restaurant because you wanted to enjoy. And he said, yeah. And I said, and I came to this restaurant because I was invited by the PR or the owners of this restaurant. So I enjoy it too. And so the look on people's faces sometimes is actually worth it. Like, sometimes it's really worth it. So I will say this to you, for those who are not content creators, I get it. Sometimes it can look annoying, but looking annoying and being annoying is 2 different things. Unless you have a content creator that's shining the light in your eye, unless you have a content creator that's that's bumping you and telling you to be mean, or being mean towards you personally, I just let people be people. And I think if we get to that point in our lives where we just let grown people be grown and let them do what they're going to do, I think that will save us a lot of heartache and headache. This is why I have the stance that I have about not arguing with people in the comment section when it comes to politics. Because here is the thing. If you're arguing with me in the comment sections about a politician, or if you're arguing with me about politics in general, here's the conclusion that I've come to. Nothing that I'm going to say is going to break it down to you to the point where you're willing to jump ship. And I know that we're supposed to try to influence, and that's the other part of being this influencer and content creator and all these different hats. And we are supposed to influence. But when people are dead set on locking in on you to make sure they have this very distinct argument about things, this is when I personally fall back. Not because I can't handle a conversation or an argument. I actually wanted to be an attorney, so I love to argue, right? Most people who either are attorneys or want to be attorneys, they have that good spice in them. They could argue. I could go for rounds. However, I'm just not willing to do it. I'm not willing to waste that time, right? You are dead set on where you want to be, and that's just where you want to be. But to say to yourself that you're not going to vote because you don't agree with either one of the candidates, I need you to understand that if you don't vote for someone, you're voting for someone. So I need you to try to get out there, and you need to register to vote. You need to make sure that you're ready to go. You need to make sure that you show up at the poll, because it is important for you to exercise your rights to be able to say who you want over you. I don't understand this concept. It's like, in my opinion, I feel like it's a childish thing to do, to say I'm not voting because I don't agree with either one of these candidates. I can understand that 100%, that there is no candidate that I 100% agree with, right? But I also have to find the one that resonates the most with me overall, and again, are there things to be improved on both sides? Absolutely. So don't tussle with people in their comment section, in your comment section or somebody else's comment section about every little thing. There are times when I will have conversations about different topics on different social media platforms, but I've learned too to not even do that, because the energy that it takes to go and look this person up and look for the post that they posted and then to make the comment, I just be wondering where y'all getting all this free time, and can you give me some of yours, because you obviously have enough and I don't have enough. When you're running a business like I am, when you're a mother, when you're a wife, when you have all these different titles, I really don't have time to argue with people all the time. Now, I'm not telling you that if you come on my page and say something crazy that I'm just going to let it slide every single time, because 90% of the time what I do is I'll make sure that I block your comment, or I'll hide your comment, but I will respond to you personally in a message, because I don't want to try to embarrass anybody. And sometimes, a lot of times, people are just, there's nothing that they are doing, and it could be a bot. So can you imagine thinking that you're arguing with a person and discover that you're arguing with the artificial intelligence? This is why I don't even attempt, because that's the type of stuff that we have to think about nowadays. Right? So again, the accommodations that the Biden administration did give me when they allowed me to make content, or they invited me to, I should say more or less invited me to make content. It just was an amazing thing. Like, a lot of people can't say that they were invited to the table. And if I get to the table, the first thing I'm going to do is advocate for the community in some way. So I'm just grateful for that experience. Because Trump is a 34-time felon. Listen, I know that there are people who do support Trump. And again, I'm not about to argue with you, because listen, I got more things that I could be doing than arguing with folks and tussling folks within a comment section. But there's nothing you can say or that can change the fact that he's still a 34-time felon. I get it. He's going to appeal. Who wouldn't? Everybody who has the option to appeal should, right? If you feel like something was done incorrectly. But until that appeal process actually happens and goes through and is successful, he is now still a 34-time felon. And I need people to understand that concept. Listen, please stop telling yourself that the laws are going to be different for Trump than they are for anybody else. They do seem to skate around him having his moments, or even President Biden. But keep in mind, Until he appeals and is successful, he is considered a 34-time felon. And because he's so well known, everybody knows that he's now a 34-time felon because the news travels quicker than good things. Like bad things happen, it's right on the tip. It's right there. So for those who are about to prepare to exonerate in their mind Trump, because that's what you decided to do, I need you to understand the ways in which the laws are being made. And here's the thing. This has nothing to do with Trump. I can't stress this enough. Trump could have been anybody, but since his name is Trump, that's what we have to go by. I need you to understand that Google is free. I need you to understand that. I need you to hear me say that. I need you to learn to get on your Google. You got to get on your Zoom. You got to get on your Zoom, like that one meme said. But I need you to get on your Google. It is free. I need you to get on, I guess people still have Internet Explorer. Whatever you use, I need you to look that up. Because sometimes you guys are out here giving out false information about things that can and cannot happen, and that's not the case. Yes, Trump is going to appeal, but until he is successful at that appeal, he is a 34-time felon. You can't argue somebody down, even if you say that you felt like it was rigged. His first comment was that this situation was rigged. You know, the country is rigged. Yes, the country is rigged for a number of reasons, but that doesn't change the fact that a jury of his own peers decided that he was guilty. They could have decided that he wasn't. They could have done a hung trial, which is what I thought was going to happen, but they didn't. So because they unanimously came together and made their decision, however long it took for them to get there, he is a 34-time felon. He is that. There's nothing you can do to change that. Now, that may mean nothing to you. I've heard people say, even if within the last 24 hours, is that, yes, he is a 34-time felon, but I don't care. I'm still rocking with him. Listen, nobody's here to stop you. Nobody is here to stop you. Because again, I'm here for those who haven't decided they're even going to vote. I'm here for those who say, I'm really not sure all the things and all the things that they stand for. 100%. I'm here for them. I'm not here to take the shackles off your feet so you can dance. I'm not Mary. I promise you I'm not. And I am just more of a laid back person. Anybody who knows me in real life knows that, you know, in the time in my life, I probably wasn't. But now at 43, with a family and responsibilities and, you know, out here trying to make sure that we take care of the things that need to be taken care of, I don't really want to engage y'all. I don't really have time to argue. But I can't argue facts. The fact is that Trump is a 34-time felon. And I feel like even most felons do not have as many as 34. Here's the thing. The fact that he's able to still run for the country because we never had to be in a situation where we had a law in place that says that you can't run if you have a felony, which is, I think, crazy to me, is that every felon that's doing right and doing well in life and is trying to get themselves together, who have turned their life around, they need to be able to get all the jobs. Anything that they've ever had taken from them, they need to be restored. Because if you can get and fight for yourself to be in the biggest job of all the land, you need to be able to make sure that those felons who were, even if they were wrong and they admit that they were wrong for what they've done, that's one thing, but they need to get their lives back. Because how do we have somebody that could potentially be in office that has this many felons? Has any felons at all? Let's be clear, but 34 is a lot. So, you know, I digress. As we conclude today's podcast, let me just talk about a couple of last thoughts. Summer is around the corner, which also means for parents who do have children in school that you are very much aware of the fact that you need to be prepared. I don't know if you're able to afford, because listen, everybody can't afford to put their children in some sort of camp, but I do need you to be ready. You really should have at least 2 to 3 activities that you're taking your kids to, especially for those who are sitting at home with their kids all week long as summertime hits, because maybe you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. I need you to be prepared. How do you get prepared? Let me give you some tips. First and foremost, Google is free. I need you to get on your Google. A lot of times I was able to find free activities during the week and during the summer that helped to make sure that my kids were out. So this was even before they even started going to school. I was on my Zoom. I was on my Google, and I would search all the things. And I mean, everything that's happening in your city, you need to look up your city's name and things to do. So if you live in the city of Baltimore, it would be Baltimore things to do. Here in Philly, it would be Philly things to do. I promise you in there, you're going to find things for you as a family to do that's going to hit every price range. Okay. So you need to get on your Zoom. You need to get on your internet. You need to get on your research, because there is no reason for you to allow your children to sit at home all week on an electronic. Get them up and out of the home. And yes, find the free things, because that's exactly the first thing I'm going to go to. Regal also has a special. I believe it's $2 for movie tickets, and they have a whole schedule out, and I can put the link in the show notes for you so that you can get these kids out and maybe watch a cheap movie. You know, we used to do that all the time. Another thing for parents, and this is all around the world, well, all the United States. I can't talk about the world, but at least the United States, is that you can also take your kids bowling for free. And there are participating bowling alleys that could be in your neighborhood. So you have the free bowling, you have some reduced, and I mean extra reduced price for the tickets. Now, even if it's a movie that you have seen before, and it's now $2. I mean, yeah, you can go see it at home for free, but it's a different experience when you're at the movie theater. Consider yourself when it's like, okay, I got to get these kids out the house. I got to make sure that they're moving or grooving. Like, find activities that you can do outside of your home. It will make a huge difference in how you get to see your children, how your children get to see you, because summertime is a great time, but it also brings out the irritation, because as more in the sun you are, you're going to get more irritated. So keep those things in mind when it comes to what to do. Also have downtime. Do not think that you have to have 5 things on your schedule for 1 per day and all these different things. Like, put some downtime. There should be at least a day where no one really goes anywhere, kind of relax out a little bit, get the bare minimum done. You should always enclose that into your schedule. Even if you're going on vacation, you should do the same thing. For those who have to have the vacation plans for every second of the day, I need you to not do that, because most people, when they travel, they need to also have a downtime, and their downtime can't be just be at the airport. Right? It can't be their flight to wherever they're going. It needs to also consume of doing things that were a little bit more relaxing. Maybe just encouraging a pool day, a lounge around day, a movie day, inside. Whatever you need to do, you need to have both outside activities, indoor activities, and you can find some that are free. Please do that. Also, for those who want to put their kids into camp and you have more than one kid, that's actually going to be somewhat of a benefit. Just talk to whom you're trying to put your kids in and see what can be done. Because again, you're going to want to get as much money off of your off of going to like camp. Also, ask if they have scholarships. A lot of people don't realize that sometimes camps have scholarships. There are people with endowments that will pay and say, if you have somebody that can't afford to pay, here's some money to set aside for that. Always ask. You never know. You won't know until you ask. So parents, I feel you. I know how it's going to be when the summertime hits. My kids are still currently in school, and shout out to every single graduate, those who are going into kindergarten, those who are graduating, going into first grade in this upcoming school year, for those who are going and matriculating into high school, for those going into college and graduating from those college and college educated programs, masters, all the things. Congratulations to every graduate that will have taken place this year, because some people graduate early, some people graduate late. It's still, at the end of the day, it is still yet an honor to get a diploma, to get your degree. It feels amazing. And so many people don't realize just how amazing it makes you feel when you realize all the things that you have gone through to graduate. So I salute every graduate on every level. May you go into this world and do the damn thing. I want you to get in there and do all the things. Make a difference in this world. It doesn't matter what you choose to be. I just want you to be it, do it well. And I want you to find the space, the time, the energy to do all the good things that need to be done in this world. We need more good than the bad that we are seeing every single day. When I did hear about the Trump administration, or I should say Trump himself, being declared the 34-time felon, I was actually driving on my way to pick up one of my girlfriends to go to dinner to make content. And I was on the phone with my grandmother, and she was like, let me turn it up so you know I'm not lying. But yeah, I was able to hear it in real time. So shout out to grandma, because she helped, because I actually do not watch the news. I know it's crazy. How do I know so much about what's going on? Because you can really get it from social media. Like, I do follow reputable sites like CNN and different things. So when stuff is breaking, I will know about it. And I'm a reader, because writers are usually amazing readers. And so because I'm a reader, I'd rather read it in some other form. I'd rather not necessarily see it across my screen. And also, I have 3 children. The reason why I limit the news is because, again, the news is depressing. Have you ever watched a news segment, watched it, and then just felt like, my God, yeah, I'm not doing that for my house. So we don't watch the news openly. Not that we can't. It's just something we've just chosen not to do. We just like to keep our home as peaceful as possible. And yes, sometimes, in my opinion, when you're watching the news, it can overwhelm you. Every day when that news comes on, or even on my social media when something happens, it's, especially in Philadelphia, it could be somebody got killed there in this part of the city, and you should be on the lookout for, whatever it is that is going on. So again, this is the episode for this week. We talked about mental health and care. We also talked about therapy. And of course, when you want to fire a therapist, you should try to find a way to continue, because it could be just challenging you in the way that's actually healthy and will also give you health and healthy mindset later on. We talked about, again, me going and creating content for the Biden administration and how amazing the experience was. And to just remind you that you're not going to agree 100% with every candidate, but you need to find the one that you resonate with most. And saying that you don't want to vote is a vote for the party. So make sure that you do exercise your ability to finally get the chance to vote. For so many people, this could be their first election. And if this is your first election, please don't let it be your last. Like, I need you to understand, if you really want to evoke the biggest of changes, you need to start from your local government and work your way up. You really do. So start paying attention to the actual voting process when it comes to the judges that you're putting into office, the senators that you're putting into the office, the governors. Those are just as important as the presidential one. And if we keep trying to tell ourselves that it's not, I promise you that it is. This weekend is Roots Weekend. It means there's a Roots picnic happening here in the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Let's be mindful of one another. And what does that mean? Let's look out for each other. If you know that your friend is super, super duper drunk, go ahead and take them out of there, sweetie. I know you was waiting to see your favorite artist, but you can't leave your friend sitting alone and they're inebriated. For those who like a good cocktail, like myself, I do love a good cocktail. That's the reason probably why my voice is hoarse as it is. Please drink in moderation when you're at a festival, especially a music festival as large as this, because there's so many different acts, amazing people that are coming. Just pace yourself, right? Pace yourself on the drinking. Make sure that you drink a lot of water. Make sure you have your concert must have. Sometimes, with like earplugs, because the music can be a lot, especially when you're trying to get to the absolute front. The music will get louder and louder, and it could be harmful to your sensitive ears. Bring some earplugs. Make sure you have battery packs. I've been charging stuff for the last few days because I want to be prepared. I am covering the Roots. I'm going to be covering it in the form of the fact that I'm going to be doing content. I'm going to be doing the blog recap, and I am just going to be doing all these things. I am an invited guest of Live Nation. So yes, I'm going to be creating content. And if I see you there or you see me there, please do not be afraid to say hello. If you're thinking, well, how will I know you? First of all, you know my face. Go ahead and find me on social media and see all the content. But the other part is I'm going to be wearing the brightest of lime green. Like, you will be able to see my chocolate self in all that lime green. I'm talking about lime green from head to toe. So you will be able to see me. I hope that you say hi. I do not bite. I can be warm and welcoming. And although I'm there to make content, I am always there to be for the people. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. I will say this. I can't speak for other years, but I will say last year, I didn't see let me just say this. Last year when I went, I didn't experience any form of drama. And I'm sure there was like little things that were happening, because when you mix hot with drunk, there could be things that are happening. But as a whole, the situation was very much well contained. They did a great job. So for that was great. So just be mindful of your surroundings, be mindful of your friends, be mindful of your intake. And also make sure that you have all the things. Have a little bit of cash on you, but also make sure you have your card ready, because it's mostly cardless. And yeah, I hope to get some new gear. I got some clothes and sweatshirts and things from last year. So they do have swag if you would like to purchase some. They will have small business owners and mostly like Black owners that are there so that you can purchase their items, which I did as well. The food, the drinks is going to be it's going to be a time. A time will definitely be had, but I want you to have it, and I want you to be safe. I want you to be aware, and I want you to make sure you take care of you and your friends. So if you see me there, like I said, say hi. I'll say hello back. Even if I don't know you, just introduce yourself. Hey, I listened to your podcast, or I see your content, anything, and I'll talk. I'll say hi. We'll talk. We'll have a little chit chat. But I'm here to see Jill Scott. I'm here to see Yeba. I'm here to see Robert Glasper. I'm here to hear Nas. I'm here to hear just all these different artists, amazing artists. And so this is my first official start of the summer for me. When you start hitting the music festivals and anybody that's listening, especially any music festival executives, you can go ahead and have me out. I love a good music fest. I'm so mad I missed the Jazz Fest in New Orleans. And so yeah. That is the episode for this week. Summer is on its way. Take care of them babies. Take care of yourself. Get your mindset ready. Get prepared. Get all the things ready. Yes, we do know that candidates for the presidency are not perfect. There's not one that I agree 100% with everything that they do. Not one. But what I will say is I have to find the one that resonates the most with me and decide which matters to me the most. And remember, stop arguing with folks in the comment section. These folks are already dead set. And sometimes too, there's just bots that are set there. And I would hate for you to be arguing out here with AI. Okay. It would be a crazy thing to find yourself actually arguing with AI. Okay. That is the episode. Have a good weekend. Do one thing that is going to resonate with yourself. Tomorrow, starting June 1st, is a new month. That means we are hitting the midway point. What have you done halfway through this year? And what can you do to get yourself through the next half of the next year, right? What are you going to do that's going to be different, that's going to make that your year great? Like, I hate when we get to New Year's Eve and people are like, I don't feel like I did anything. That's because you're not taking the time to recap yourself for the week. You're not recapping yourself for the month. You need to get back to that old school way of writing down your goals. I get it. We have cell phones that do all the things, but nothing beats a piece of paper and a pen. Write down your goals. I have every month of the goals that I have accomplished and the ones that I have not. And I actually have a certain highlighter color. When I accomplish it, it's in purple. And yes, I've been seeing them purples hit. Them purples been hitting. You hear me? However, even with the purples hitting, there are some things that I have not accomplished. And so those are the things that I focus on. And there are things that are coming my way that I have even feel like I have any room to receive, but my heart is open. My life is open. And I hope the same for you. Find one activity that you can do this weekend that will bring you so much joy. I personally will be on Tired Nation because covering Roots for both days is a lot. It is a lot. So pace yourself. Right. And when you've had enough and you're at Roots, don't feel obligated. You don't have to stay there till the last person leaves. Last year we stayed into the end just because Usher. No need to say nothing else. Usher. Even though my husband and I did see Usher at his Vegas residency, it was Usher. So we had us a great time, and we will have ourselves a great time this year. I send love to you. I send love to you and your family. I pray that your mental health and your wellness is at its best. Keep in mind that even with mental health, there are days and moments when you have a low day. And if you are experiencing a low day, remember that they don't last forever. And I'm sending that peace to you to realize that, to put that in your heart and to let that resonate. Remember to love you. Remember to love your friends. Love the people that love you back. And even send love to folks who don't, but you can send it to them from afar. You ain't got to be up in people's face just because you need to send them love. Like, I send people love all the time. If you're on my Twitter, I say good morning or good afternoon, good evening, and I'm sending good vibes. And I do. I send good vibes to people I don't even know. So, it doesn't cost you to be nice to people. Okay. Have a good weekend. We'll be back next week with Conversations with Toy. I do believe that we have a guest next week, and we are getting close to finishing out this season. And there's always a bonus episode, which I've already given actually when we talked about Black maternal health. So either way, you'll never know if there'll be another bonus episode, but either way, we are coming to a close of season 10. And I really do appreciate the numbers are numbering. You guys are really supporting, and I can't even I'm just excited and happy and grateful. So thank you and love you. Talk to you next week with Conversations with Toy.
Thank you as always for joining me, and I know that even in the deepest or joyful conversations that there's something we can learn and apply. Until next time, I hope that you are doing better. If not, we will be back to talk some more and handle it. Peace to you and yours. Stay grounded.